All right. So I don't expect a huge turnout on this video, simply because it's damn near 5 o'clock. People get home from work. Some of y'all are still working, um, but I felt the need to make a video. I'm gonna try to save it so it can be viewed later. I may upload it as well on the Foreign Millennials page, as well as for both Instagram and for Facebook, and then I'm gonna try to upload it to YouTube as well since I got the YouTube channel. But I had an epiphany, had a conversation. Actually, I've had this conversation a few times over the last, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks or so. The conversation that I had was one with my lady, and then I had a conversation with an old coworker of mine, and then actually really the next time that the conversation came up, was actually a young lady that I found on Instagram, and she was talking about speaking to her truths and talking about how you're working with people and dealing with people, whether it's professional, whether it's personal. Well, I'm brother Steve. Wagwan, you all right? Yeah, man. Blue Jays, you know what it is. Um, so I wanted to make a quick video because it was fresh in my mind. And I don't start the new gig until next week, so I got free time. I was like, why not? Let's do it. Is that my sister? What's she saying? I got the phone horizontal, so wide view. Just put your showing up horizontally. Am I really showing up horizontally? Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can change it. Let me see if this will work. Let's see. Let me see. Hold on. Is it still horizontal? Or is it back? Is it horizontal still? I have it horizontal. I just want it because it's wide view. Or is it still the same? How's it look? It's still the same? My sister says it's still the same. Hold on. So let me do this. Because I had it propped up. So I'm just gonna hold it. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna hold it up vertically. I just wanted it still because I don't want my hand moving around and whatnot. So, but that's okay. I'll leave it like this. So anyway, so back to what I was saying. So the conversation that I had a few weeks ago with my lady was we were both talking about previous relationships. We were talking about what we've learned from those relationships, where we are now, and what caused pain and what issues you may have had in the past. Also, what you learned as well. So I had a conversation with her, and then I also had a conversation with a coworker of mine, or I'm sorry, previous coworker of mine, like I said. So what I was getting at was trying to instill change in people, right? Or trying to put in efforts to try and add value to those people, right? And what I mean by value could be anything, right? Could be decisions that they make in terms of professional, or when it comes to certain attributes that they have when it comes to communication, when it comes to how they spend their money, and how to balance your career, and how you do things when you're at work or whatever, right? Your spiritual behaviors and whatever, your day by day things that you do every day. And so for me, I couldn't for many years, and even now I still run into it because I'm just now learning that in my mind, as a human being, right, as a sentient being, as a caring person, a loving person, we want to see other people do well. We want to see other people do great things, even more so than yourself, right? Even more so than what you do. You may look back and say, okay, well, my career is great, or it may not be, and I want it to be great, and I know what I need to do to get there. And even though I'm not there yet, I know that this is what you need to do. And so, if you care about somebody, if you are in a personal relationship with someone, a professional relationship, you're going to be like, hey, you know what? This is what I'm doing. I care about you. This is what I think you should do as well, and take it as it is. The problem is with that is that there's a difference between adding value and trying to change someone, right? So what does that mean? Adding value. Well, if you think your worth in this world and whatever you're doing is set at this amount, and without passing judgment, you look at someone else and say, hey, I care about you. The way I see it is I see myself here and I want you to meet me here. I was once here and now I'm here. So I want you to come from here to here. Right. And that level, right, because there's levels to this shit. As corny as it sounds, it's real. That scale could be anything, right? So it could be, again, professional, it could be personal. And so for me, like I said, in previous relationships that I've been in, I wanted to do that. I wanted to bring the person that I cared about from here to here. The difference though is when you're thinking about adding value and contributing to someone's life in any way, there's a difference between someone's nature and someone's behaviors. Right? Let me say that again. So there's a difference between someone's nature and someone's behavior. So what does that mean? Well, the nature of a person. Some people are introverted, some people are extroverted, right? Those are personality types, right? Personality traits. I'm an introverted or I'm an extroverted. Extroverted is usually someone who's a little bit more outgoing, someone who's able to talk to just about anybody, who's comfortable with being in uncomfortable situations. Whatever it may be, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. Then you have introverted individuals who are typically more to themselves. They're typically more, I don't want to say closed off. It's not really the right word, but they keep to themselves more. They're a little bit more shy. They're a little bit more about observation. They kind of want to test the waters first, Introverted individuals, in some instances, not all, typically have a difference in communication, right? How they communicate is very much different. Typically, introverted individuals usually internalize things first. They typically want to observe a situation, test the waters before they step in. And so it could be a good or a bad thing. My sister says something here. It can also backfire if they feel as if they are trying to change versus trying to show you care and add value. I think it comes down to how you share with them you want to add value. Very true. Very, very true. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is all about how you share. It is all about how you communicate, which I will get to that actually. In fact, we can jump right to it. It's communication. And so when you're with somebody, personally or professionally, communicating and how that person communicates, that's in their nature. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't change, right? That's just how they are. And I have learned that by me in previous relationships, or even with working relationships or personal relationships, that I'm categorizing my way of adding value to you on every level. So I put, financial and spiritual, and I put communication, all of that. I put all that into the same spectrum, and it's not. It's not. Adding value to someone's behaviors is not the same as trying to add value to someone's nature. And that's where I messed up. That's where I ran into complications. And I didn't differentiate the two. I thought that if I'm adding value to you, that you should be able to accept it. Who would not want to be added to? Who would not want to, quote unquote, level up, right? To get to the next step in their life. Here's someone, whether it's me or anybody, who comes in and says, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This will help you. One of two things will happen. They'll either see what it is that you're adding and go with it, or they won't. Or, actually, there's a third thing. They don't see it until later. One thing I had realized about relationships is that sometimes what you're showing that person, they're not going to show it back to you. It's going to suck because you put all that effort and you're like, yo, look, what's good? Like, why can't you reciprocate? You know what I mean? I'm trying to give it to you. Why can't you give it back? I've realized, and like I said, my lady put me onto this. They may not do it for you. They're going to do it for somebody else, right? They're going to take what you've shown them and learn them, and they're going to apply it to somebody else. And that's okay. That's okay, right? It's like anything else, right? It's like when you invest money. I had a conversation with my sister earlier. I was telling her about investing, and she's been investing. She's been doing a thing, but she's just now jumping into the stock world. And so I've been dabbling in stocks for a little while, but with decisions that I've made financially and decisions that anybody makes financially, the stock market, no matter how calculated and no matter how much information you have, the money that you invest, whether it's a little or a lot, if anybody on here has played in the stock market, you can make a lot of money like this, literally within seconds, and then you can lose that money like this within seconds. And so you take everything you have, you take your money and you invest. You invest that money, you're expecting a large return, and you don't get it. You're pissed off because you did all this research, you applied yourself, you had the calculations, you invest your money, and the variables of how that money works can change. But then Joe Blow shows up, right? Says, I invested in that stock just after you did. I invested my time. I put in the effort and I made a bunch of money. That's how life works. Life is sometimes full of sometimes. Now, I'm not using this video as a preaching method. I'm not doing this to, motivate people, nothing like that. That's just me living my truths, being a little bit more transparent, letting you know what's going on up here. It's the same thing when you're investing money, when you're investing in people. You can invest into people and you may not see the implications of that investment until it goes to someone else. As Yadi people say, West Indian people say, I saw it go. It is what it is. But that's okay. That's the thing, that's okay. Trying to invest in someone's nature versus trying to invest in their behaviors are two different things. Someone's nature, if they do change, may take a lot longer and will coincide with those behaviors. Sometimes changing someone's behaviors will eventually attribute to their nature and kind of how they conduct themselves. Now, you are who you are. So you have to accept people for who they are, right? That's cool. But also with that person who you think needs to change, they themselves have to see the implications of who they are. Because at the same time, who you are, some people's nature is not always a good thing. Just preface that. Let me just put that out there. Some people's nature is not always a good thing. We all have maturity. We all have growth. We have opportunity to be better. Some people have bad habits and bad nature. Let me just put that out there. I completely understand. Accept somebody for who they are, but know the difference between what their behaviors are and what their nature is. My sister, we call that the fix of the person that consistently dates with the unconscious effort to trying to fix that person. We have to understand someone will only change for who they want to change for. Facts. Then they go on to the next doing all of the things you asked them to do because they just didn't want to do it for you. Facts. It's real shit. That's real shit. You know what I mean? That is real shit. I'm pretty sure when I was married a long time ago. I was 19 when I got married. I got divorced when I was like 27-ish. And all of the things that I should have done, right? All of the things that I should have done in my marriage is what I ended up doing in my relationship after that, right? And so, it doesn't resonate, right, until even that relationship's done. That's just how it is, right? The things that I should have done with the first major corporation that I worked for, was a company called Discount Tire. I had learned a lot about work ethic. I had learned a lot about leadership and management. I call that job that I had like boot camp for my working life. It was the job that really helped mold me and made things a little easier when I moved on to other companies. But there were things that I didn't do, right? I was a very compassionate person, but I was a little bit of a bully, right? I was a very headstrong dude, stubborn in my ways, didn't really want to change much. Even though I was learning, I didn't really apply what I had learned to that degree with that job until I moved on to another company called AT&T, and I was there for years. And everything that the manager that I had at Discount Tire wanted me to do, even though he was kind of a shitty manager, um, he was in management for a reason. So the things that he wanted me to do didn't resonate with me until I went to AT&T. And so, that's just how it goes. Sometimes the nature of the person, it takes years, right? It takes time for who you are to evolve, right? For you to level up, for that value to change. And so, that's the same thing with personal relationships. Is again, I could be Discount Tire, and the lady I was dating before was me. And I'm showing you like this is what you need to do, right? But your pride and ego, stubbornness, all of the traits that a lot of us have, most of us have, prevent us from changing and adapting because we are stuck in our ways. Our nature is what it is. And it's not until, you move on to the next phase in your life that those changes really occur and they resonate. But how I was to change wasn't going to happen with Discount Tire. It was going to happen with AT&T, right? And so same thing with personal relationships is someone you're dating, you're like, look, I'm trying to show you something. I'm trying to add value to you, but they're not moving forward. To my sister's point, yeah, that's okay. They're not going to change for you, but they're going to change for Joe Blow. They're going to change for that cat. Or if you're a woman, that dude's going to change for the next chick, right? That's just the way it works. That's how it go. And so, it's that's one thing that I didn't pick up on. Like I didn't realize that, right? Because I knew I had changed. I knew that I'm, 30 plus years old. I'm making slow but steady strides. You know what I mean? Getting to the next step. And so when you're in relationships with people, you want them to get to the next step with you, right? But that may not be for them. Those changes may not occur until they're 35 or 40, right? Or the decisions, the position that I'm in right now, right? I may meet somebody who was already there 10 years ago. They're 24 years old, right? Already really, really far ahead in their career. They're driving a better car. They've connected to God. They're a lot more spiritually advanced than you are, because what took you to finally get to that point, they got there quicker. That's just the way it is, right? And again, so that's the same thing with personal and professional relationships is the ability to change may not always be at the hands of the person who's trying to change you. It could just be time. Things won't resonate until, a year or two later. That the right person comes along and says the right thing, the pitch in their voice, the conviction, all of that, it just resonates, right? That's just the way it is. Anybody who knows me close, real close, I've always told them that over the years, my relationship with God is very different than a lot of people that I know, right? I for some reason, when a lot of people preach to me about the word, when anybody, gives me their testimony, whatever the case may be, and I'm not going to get all godly on you guys and super religious because I'm not. Just the way people say it, it doesn't sit with me. I just don't get it. But there's one person, it's my best friend and producer on the show, Terrence. He's been my best friend for almost 20 years. We went to high school together. I just don't understand his voice, the way he says things. Whenever he talks about God, whenever he talks about Bible scriptures, I'll sit and listen for hours. I don't know. I couldn't tell you Well, it's just the way he says it, the way it comes across. That's just the way it is. You know, my sister could do it. My mom can do it. I got some other family members, friends, who are heavy with Christ, but it's just the way they say it. It doesn't resonate with me. But for some reason, when Terrence says it, I get it, and it's been like that for almost 20 years. You know, that's what I'm saying. Is the investment that you put into people. It's all about timing. It's all about who they are. Um, and yeah, it's your relationship and trust in Him. Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about your relationship. Each relationship that that person has on earth with God, it's unique. It's as an individual, it's unique, and that's the way it's going to be. That's just the way He designed it. I talk to God like He's a person right beside me. You know, I don't curse at Him, but I curse when I talk to Him because that's me being real. I You can argue that all day long, but He's answered my prayers by me being that real and honest with Him. And so, but even then, when He speaks to me, it comes through Terrence. I don't know. That's just the way it is, right? That's how you treat personal and professional relationships. Um, it's yeah. He could be sent to be my voice. Ellie, you're absolutely right. And so that's he is my friend for a reason. But that's how it works with personal and professional relationships. Is how you say things when you're in that relationship with that person. They're not getting it right there and then. You know, you may provide something else in their life that they need, or that they're supposed to have, but there's just something else that you're giving them that it's just not clicking. You're not their voice. Someone else may be, and that's okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's how you learn when you're in relationships, right? And that's how the way it works when you're in your career. So this video kind of took a lot longer than I wanted it to, but we're having a great conversation here. I'm kind of telling you guys my tidbit. I'm gonna get with Duchala, my co-host, get with my producer Terrence, and see if we can see if we can elaborate a little bit more on this conversation about change within yourself and change within people, and when it's acceptable to change. That you don't, and some people make this mistake. Don't go if you're dating, right? If you're dating, don't go out with the intent to find someone who's going to change you. That's the thing. A lot of people will do that. They will enter relationships or they'll go into a business and say, I'm going to see if this business will help me to grow and change. You don't know that. You have no idea. And the business itself is not necessarily what changes you. It's the people that work for the company, because that's who you're interacting with, right? I forget how the saying goes, but it goes along the lines of people don't quit companies, they kind of quit management, that kind of thing, because it's individuals, right? That can cause one to leave. And that's how I felt when I was at Discount Tire. When I started with Discount Tire, I was a kid. I was young. Started with that company, and I was like, man, this is it. Auto industry. I'm around, $8,000 car, and then I've got, $250,000, $300,000 car that I can work on. Who wouldn't want to do this? And so working with someone who wasn't attributing to your change or how they were conveying that message was the reason why I left that company was I wasn't sensing that change. I thought the company would, but it's not always about the company, it's about that management. So just like in personal relationships, right? Don't go into a personal relationship thinking, I'm going to see if this person will change me. Just do it. Do the best that you can. Be who you are. You either may learn something from them, so much so that that's the reason you stay with them for the rest of your life, or they're there for a certain reason, or sometimes they're there for a season, or sometimes they're there for a lifetime. You don't know. But again, it's all about the behaviors. And that's something that I'm working on. I am not perfect at it. It is something I'm going to get better with. But anyway, we're going to talk about it on the show. Not sure when. I'm going to get with Duchala about it, talk to him, see what he thinks, and then we'll go from there. Other than that, like I said, I didn't get a huge turnout, but that's okay. Hopefully this video will touch more people in the future. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to, this is my page. You can also check us out on our Instagram page, which is at Foreign Millennials. I think I just posted it there. Should show up in the feed. There it is right there. That's our Instagram page. Check us out. Click on the link in the bio if you want to go check out our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud. We're all on there. Also the YouTube channel, the website, foreignmillennials.com. If anybody out there who is watching this video or is going to watch this video, if you are wanting to have a conversation or peek into the conversation about mental health, we discuss that a lot. We've been discussing it for the last year and a half. It's part of the reason why we started the show, was to have that conversation about mental health. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you want to, speak to us about mental health, your experiences with mental health, by all means, reach out to us. Other than that, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. It's your boy Pablo. Peace.